Welcome back to Joy of the Hang, everyone. How are you today, Lauren?
I'm great, Sharon. I'm just excited to hear all about your fabulous weekend in LA.
It was fabulous. I had a great time. Let's talk about these earrings.
I was just going to say, if we're talking about fabulous.
Let's talk about these.
Okay.
Earrings.
I want to let everyone out there know nobody, including my husband, has ever been able to buy me jewelry that I want to wear, that's me, which I sometimes it surprises me. I don't mean to be bitchy, but sometimes you get a little frustrated. Like, I would think it's kind of obvious the type of jewelry I wear, but nobody ever can. These are absolutely phenomenal. They say they're a big square. They say queen in a big square. So 4 queens, and they just hang on my ear perfectly, and they're beautiful. And I feel really fucking cool.
They look awesome. So I got us matching pairs.
And they're not too heavy. Like, they're not pulling my ears down. They work. Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome, Lauren. I know they look awesome on you. I knew you'd like your bijou.
I know. I love my bijou. Now I just have to stop staring at myself in the little video screen and pay attention to what I'm doing.
So yes, once again, Hang Squad, we are recording not only audio, but we are recording video. So if you want to check us out on YouTube, you can.
Come check us out. Check out my new bijou queen earrings from Sharon. And Sharon has the same pair on. So it's kind of cute. We're twinning. And then you can also see the gold heart necklace I have on, which is totally that when you get totally sucked in and trapped by, you see the little ad pops up on TikTok or Instagram. And then before you even know what happened, you bought it.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Well, see, and now you've also got your trucker hat on.
I do.
I like that with the heart.
Isn't that great?
It's really great.
This is from a woman for anyone that's local in the Sarasota area, although you could certainly order from her if you aren't in the area. Her store is called Graffiti, and she does unbelievable hats. She puts stuff on men's blazers, on jean jackets, just cool socks, like candles, just a really, really cool store.
What's the name of the store?
It's called Graffiti.
Oh, Graffiti. Yeah, you just said that.
And
it's on Main Street.
It is on Main Street, and 2 of my favorite plates are from there, Sharon.
Oh, I haven't been in there, so that's good to know.
Do you want to ask what they
What are your favorite plates, Lauren?
The one says
do tell.
Cunt.
Of course.
And the other one says retired slut.
I don't know that you're retired, but those are clever plates.
Aren't they clever?
Do you
they make me laugh.
Do you eat your breakfast on them every morning?
I don't actually. I just put them like next to my like magazines on display because they literally, it might seem weird, they make me happy. They make me laugh. And I think in this day and time, in the world we live in now, laughter is everything. You
should surround yourself with things and people that make you laugh. Haley and I just had this conversation in Los Angeles because I said, laughter is very important in a relationship. So,
well, to that note, Sharon, I think for any relationship to truly thrive, you need T, L, and C. Do you know what that stands for?
No. What does it stand for in Lauren's
It is not tender loving care. I love how you knew that right away.
Not what I'm thinking it is. So what is TLC?
You need to be with someone who makes you think. That's the T. Who makes you laugh.
Yes.
That's the L. And who makes you come. That's the C.
Think, laugh, and come.
Isn't that great?
I actually like that.
I like it a lot.
I like that too.
I like it a lot.
Did you just make that up?
I did not make that up. That is a little info nugget, if you will, from my good friend Bobby Caldwell, who is going to be a guest on our podcast.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's got a lot of like little nuggets.
I like that one. I'm going to remember it. Think, laugh, come is the new. That's what TLC, the new acronym now.
Yeah, that's what you need to find in a relationship.
I like that.
Stay tuned to, find out more when we have Bobby Caldwell on.
Yeah, we need to make up a few more acronyms, I think.
Oh, trust me, he's got a lot more.
I do want to talk to you about my weekend in LA because it was really spectacular and special. But before we do that, all over the news right now is Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding in Venice. Can we talk about that for a second?
Let's definitely talk about that. And I'm going to dive in right away to show you how I feel about it, that I love how she wasted no time changing her name on all her social media to Lauren Sanchez Bezos. I love that.
Yeah, why wouldn't she? Yeah.
Right?
I
think that's so great.
Yeah. She's proud of it. She's proud to be married to him. That's funny.
She's proud of it. I absolutely loved her wedding dress as someone who's about to turn 54 and partakes in Botox, and I've had fillers and I do lasers. I think it's absolute shit that other women want to comment on anything she's done to her face. If that doesn't work for you, don't do it. But she doesn't need your permission to, do whatever she wants to do, plastic surgery or aesthetically to her face.
I agree with you. I do think she looked a little bit better before. Personally, I think I think she's overdone it. Personally, but I like the more natural look on her. I thought she looked better before, but that's just my personal opinion.
Gotcha.
I have nothing against her doing it at all.
What did you think about the people who were so up in arms about them having their wedding in Venice when they're not obviously from Italy or from Venice?
That's fine. People do destination weddings all the time.
Right. So why do you think locals were so angry about it? I mean, they brought in a lot of business. They interviewed some gondoliers who said that they were making, more money than they've ever made.
Yeah. I couldn't really figure out why they were floating Jeff Bezos dolls down the river. I just was not, I was like, what's happening? I don't know if they're consumer big business and that's why, if they're more anti-Amazon, or if they were anti having so much publicity on their little city. But come on, Venice is like,
it's already packed,
right? It's one of the top tourist destinations in the world. I don't know what the whole.
I think a lot of people are anti-billionaire, Sharon.
I think a lot of people
angry about how much money he has, and I say, you know what? He worked very hard. He's a brilliant man, and good for him.
So let's talk about the comparison though between Laura and the first wife. Like that's bothering me a little bit because they're so different, and it's fine that Jeff was married to her for 20 plus years, right? Jeff Bezos.
I think it's absolutely great and makes me happy that they're so different, because my father, who was a divorce attorney, now retired for some 40 years or so and represented both men and women, but said that a lot of people make the mistake of getting divorced and they marry the same person, like the same type of person, someone that has similar qualities to, the mistakes they made the first time around. So I think it's good. My brother-in-law married someone completely different to his first wife. And, the first wife he has 2 wonderful kids with, and he's forever thankful to her for that. But his second wife is completely different, and now they've been outrageously, unbelievably happy, perfectly matched with one another for like 13 years.
It does feel a little bit, though, if you read some of the articles, it does feel like Lauren's a little bit of a social climber and a gold digger. I mean, it's kind of hard not to think that, but I would imagine probably just about anybody Jeff Bezos would marry would be accused of the same thing, because he is one of the wealthiest men in the world. So, I guess anybody would come under that same criticism, right?
Well, I also think you could say it's sort of normal. I don't think that you're attracted to the money in and of itself, but there's definitely something attractive about
the lifestyle.
Yes, but I was going to say about an uber successful guy. That's attractive.
It is. I would agree.
Now, you could say success doesn't have to be, about money. Would you marry, an artist who got all these accolades but didn't make money. I mean, I think you have to be honest with yourself. I remember way back when my father asking me, and he was in no way insinuating there was anything wrong with being a teacher. It's a great profession, but you certainly, as a teacher, don't make as much money, say, as someone else. So he was talking to me about finding a partner in life and said, you do have to be honest and realistic about what you want in life. And, if you want to go on a lot of vacations and go to Europe and, you like eating at the newest restaurant that opens in New York City or LA and you like to shop, are you going to be able to do that and stay home with kids if you marry someone who makes a teacher salary?
Right.
I don't think that's being a gold digger. I think that's being honest with, what you want in life and what you need to be happy.
No, I would agree with that. And you know what? The question that you'd have to ask Lauren is, would she still marry him if he didn't have all that money? Would she still be in love with Jeff
No, I don't think
Bezos?
she would have been
No.
attracted to him.
Right. So, for love or money. I mean, hopefully they have both. Hopefully they have
But I
both.
still want to
But
reiterate the fact I think that, you can't separate that. And you could say to, in some ways, quote Melania Trump when, people said to her, you wouldn't be with Donald Trump if he didn't have that kind of money. And she looked right at the interviewer and said, do you think he'd be with me if I didn't look like this?
yeah.
So,
Well,
you could say the same thing about looks. Are you a shallow person because you're, uber attracted to your spouse? Like, okay, should I say to everyone, yes, I definitely married my husband because I was more attracted to him than I've ever been to anyone in my entire life.
well, look, at the end of the day, this is how I feel about it. If they're both getting their needs met, then that's all that matters, you know?
I like
And
that.
so if her needs are what he can provide and his needs are to have a beautiful woman on his arm and, companionship or whatever she's providing, that's great. Right. I mean, I think
I agree.
that's at the end of the day, that's all it is. And he did have a good first marriage and she's very philanthropic and that's wonderful. And now, yeah, he's on to his next chapter. So good for him and good for her. She's on what, number 4?
Oh, isn't it funny? I
I
have
think
no
this is
idea.
number 4 for her.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
Um,
I don't
so
know. It's funny in that way. I don't judge as well. I think, I dated a lot of people. So I know, I guess people would say, well, marriage is more serious. You have kids, you're making a commitment. But
yeah. And I don't know that this is the 4th marriage. I know she had children by a couple of different guys, but
yeah,
anyway,
I
yeah.
just think that you're,
To each
at
their
the
own.
end of the day, you're lucky. Life is so precious that you're lucky to find someone that you love to be with and have fun with. So I hope they have a wonderful, happy life and marriage.
Same,
And
yeah. I mean,
I'd love to be invited on the $500 million yacht.
wouldn't we all? Jeff and Lauren, are you listening?
Well, that's what I say. Every person who complains would not turn down an
Oh,
invitation to go
Charlize
with.
Theron. Have you seen her? Like, she's like,
She made a joke about it, which I think was hilarious.
what'd she say? Do you remember the joke?
She was accepting, I believe, an award or giving an award for something, and so was around other celebrities. And she made some joke saying, oh, well, obviously we're all here because we weren't invited to the wedding, but they all suck. And she laughed, and she was 100% being funny.
Yeah, just being lighthearted about it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, did you see the outfit she wore when she gave that speech?
I didn't. And
My
Sharon,
God,
she is my husband's one.
Oh, she had
Like, if you asked my husband, okay, you can be with one person and
she's his hall pass.
she's his hall.
She's his hall pass. Well, you would love this. You would rock this outfit. It was fishnet tights, and like boy shorts, the real short ones now, body like a bodysuit, but it's fishnet tights. Then like
wait, the shorts
underwear.
that are literally like underwear.
Exactly, the micro shorts. But then it was fishnet in the midsection, and then like a bra top. It was so hot, and then she just had like a black blazer over it. And I don't remember if she had tall
That
boots,
sounds
but
totally like something I would wear.
oh, it was stunning. And I looked at her and I'm like, Lauren,
Did she wear
totally
boots with it?
trying to remember if she had boots.
Sounds like something you would wear.
You could totally wear boots with it. And of course, she's got the height too. So yeah, oh my
she's
God.
a beautiful woman.
I just was like, wow, she stole the show. I didn't care for Lauren Sanchez's gown, wedding gown.
I liked it.
You know, and it was interesting because she always is very revealing with her cleavage. And for her to choose a really high necked gown like that was kind of surprising to me.
You know what? That's something you and I agree on. I was surprised that it showed no cleavage, but I still love the dress. I thought she looked fantastic. I loved it from all of the outfits I saw from, going through social media, what have you. And I certainly didn't see what everybody was wearing, but of the ones I saw, my favorite outfit was the pink outfit that Khloe Kardashian wore that was like a pink dress with like a pink fur little shrug over it. I just thought the pink color on her skin and her dark hair looked fantastic.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. So speaking of fashion, that's why I was in LA.
I know this is a crazy, like ripped from the headline story. I feel like sitting next to you now, I'm sitting next to a celebrity. It's crazy.
That's how I felt when I was out there. So I follow young Max Alexander, who is the Guinness World Record youngest fashion designer to ever have his own runway show. And
where was the runway show?
There were 3 different ones. So no, Denver, Montreal. Well, the first one I think it might have been Denver, but anyway, Denver, Montreal,
and then Miami.
And then Miami is where this dress that I ended up purchasing.
Welcome to Miami.
Yes, was worn in 3 different fashion shows by 3 different models. And so I saw, this is how the whole thing came about.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you get the dress?
Let's give you all the backstory. So I follow him on Instagram and TikTok. And about a month ago, they had the Miami Swim Week fashion show. And so he posted some photos of the show, and one of these models walked down in the orange dress, and it's looks like a feather boa on the sleeves, sleeveless, but feather boa kind of, what would you call that? Straps, I guess, sleeves. And then the dress is kind of tiered with different colors of orange and yellow. And he's very much into sustainable fashion.
Yeah.
So he really made a point out of saying the feathers were feathers that were either found on the ground or excess feathers. They were not plucked directly from an ostrich. I'm going to get bird food. Are you going to get feathers? But he wanted to make a point, and so did his mom, that these are, they really believe in sustainability. So anyway, gorgeous. And it has this fringe on in between.
It looks very beautifully tribal.
Right. That's a great way to
describe it. I almost want to see if he took inspiration from something he's seen at like a tribal wedding of,
funny you say that, because
in Africa.
When I posted a photo of it, someone said it reminds me of the Lorax. Do you know Dr. Seuss, the Lorax?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, he was 7 when he designed it. Very much could have been a Dr. Seuss inspiration. You never know. I'll have to ask him that question. So anyway, I DM'd them and said, hey, love that dress and would love to own a Max original. And to my surprise, they responded. And they said, well, we have a few of his pieces that are going to be for sale. And I said, awesome, send me some pictures and let me know which ones. And they sent me a selection of 3 different designs.
Okay, you're going to have to show me a couple others that you didn't purchase. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I said to them, well, before, I love the orange one, and before I fly out there, it's long, it goes all the way to the floor. And I said, I'm sure these have been worn. It was worn on a model who's 5'8". I'm 5'3". And I said, so
on a good day,
my concern, that's why I wear heels all the time. I am vertically challenged. So I said to them, I'd like to try it on before I invest in the piece. And so she said, well, we're in LA. And I said, well, my daughter happens to be in LA right now, so I'll just fly out there and spend some time with my daughter and try the dress on. And she said, fabulous. So I'm like, oh, great. So I get to meet Max. So I fly out there.
Do they ask you what, to interject quickly, because I'm quite curious. We all know how fashion generally works with, when they're making, just an original, they're not mass producing them size wise.
Right.
Did they have to ask you like what your size was before you came out? Because I mean, if you were, you know, 30 pounds heavier, which you'd still be beautiful and perfect if you were 30 pounds heavier. But most people designing like one dress, not making a line yet. You're not.
Exactly.
So how do they make sure that
You
it's
know what? And I'm
feasible?
glad you brought that up. That's the thing about this piece. It is not mass produced. He's never going to make another one. And I mean, I'm just blown away by this dress's history and how he put the dress together. He assembled it. He sews it. I mean, he's 7 years old. He's 7. He's 9 now.
Yeah, he made a
I mean,
coat for the first time I became aware of him
Deborah
was
Messing.
maybe 6 months ago. No, I think I saw Sharon
Stone has
in
a
a coat
white
that
one.
he
Yep.
made. Yep.
And a beautiful green one for Deborah Messing. So
Okay.
those are the two movie stars that I'm aware of.
I'm wondering if he's gonna, you'd think he would, design for someone who is not built like you, Deborah Messing, Sharon Stone.
Well, he has. You'll have to look at his Instagram. He's got this beautiful woman who's a different shape, and she's wearing this burgundy dress that he designed in New York. And anyway, he looks gorgeous, and it is a little bit. It's more flowy with tulle.
It is what I saw her too doing dancing and stuff, and she's got a leaner body as well.
You think?
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, it's probably just what's easy for him right now, right? Yeah. I think I don't know if I can disclose what his next chapter is, but I know what his next. He's collaborating with someone quite well known.
Oh wow!
And they're coming out with a line of caftans. Is the next thing, and they're gorgeous.
I love caftans. My girlfriend Jetta can rock them. I just feel. I think it's like anything in life. You have to be you. And so when I see beautiful caftans and I picture myself wearing it, at the beach club in the south of France or places that Gabby and I go. And when I put it on, it's not me. I can't do them.
Are beautiful. Stunning. They're stunning. So yeah, he's designing a line and those will be, I think, for sale to the general public. But anyway,
you mean like like online or
I
in
believe,
a store?
Yeah, he does have a website. So yeah, he has a couple of jackets on his website right now that are for sale. But anyway, back to the story. So I meet him. Mom shows up with young Max and their grandfather. Just really lovely people. And I put the dress on and sure enough, it goes to the floor and I'm wearing probably a 4-inch heel. And I said, oh, you know what? It's fine. I can just wear a little bit taller heel and it'll be fine. And Max looks at it again, 9 years old. And he says, no, he goes, it's not supposed to touch the floor. And then he takes his pins out and he starts to pin it up, gets down on the floor with his pins, pins it up. And he's like, this is where it's supposed to fall. And his mom is like, are you sure you don't want to cut it there? And he's like, no, that's not where it goes. This is where it goes.
Well, you have to love that he respects the creative process. And if it's not correct, he wants to make it.
He wanted to make it correct. So they took it home and they fixed it for me. And then they dropped it off later in the day. But I was just blown away by his spirit, his energy. He's still a child. He's a boy. He's just crazy. A little boy.
9 years old.
9 years old. And he was just having fun. He was throwing up his tape, his tape measure and just, running around the lobby and just having fun,
I wonder how many hours of the day he spends. I wonder what extracurricular activities he does outside of his schoolwork besides the fashion.
Oh, he does a lot. I mean, again, he's in summer camp, so he's very, very active. And so mom tells a story that when he was 4 years old, he asked for a mannequin and she got him a mannequin. And then they went to the fabric store and he picked some stuff out and he just started designing. He's not a sketch. He doesn't draw his designs first. It's all puts it on the mannequin and drapes the fabric.
Well, it's funny how I just learned about that, Sharon, how they are all different. Like Bob Mackie, who did a lot of costume designs and really became famous doing a lot of outfits for Cher. He did do the sketching, but he used to come in and assist people who did not. You have a lot of dressmakers who do not sketch.
Right.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting to see their process. But anyway, he was fabulous. So it was really worth the trip and fun. And I love the dress. Like I said, it was worn by 3 different models. And it's interesting because the first model to wear it had, she was a bit older, if you can believe it. I think, if you can believe it, since I'm 59. But she had silver hair and it looked pretty on her. And then the second model to wear it was very dark African skinned, and that did look very tribal on her. So she went with a more tribal, and she wore it kind of off the shoulder, so that was kind of fun. And then the last one, the one I saw, was another brunette, dark-haired girl that had her hair pulled back, and she was Caucasian with dark hair. But I was like, I don't know how it's going to look on a blonde because I never wear that color. It's a bright orange.
Yeah, I mean, someone really has to see it because, to be honest, when you describe it with the material and the colors and the feathers, it's hard to wrap your mind around how that could not be,
well, if you
unattractive,
look at,
but it is very pretty. And I wanted to ask where you must have already thought a little bit about when you can wear it for the first time out. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I buy something, I'm immediately, the wheels are turning thinking, ooh, where can I wear this?
Well, I also collaborated with Gretchen Bauer from Be Swanky, and she let me carry a handbag of hers while I was there. And we're actually going to an event in Denver coming up in 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, wow.
And so it's at Bentley, and the owner of Bentley is, oh my gosh, I'm Troy Aikman. Is that right?
He owns that particular.
No, is it Troy Aikman?
Well, Troy Aikman used to be he used to be a quarterback
for the Denver Broncos, right?
Troy Aikman was a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
No, I'm not saying the right person then. It wasn't him.
You're thinking of John Elway?
John Elway, thank you. It was John Elway. So anyway.
See, that's why we get along.
I know.
We got the sporty girl. We got the fashion and the cook and
exactly.
She gets her quarterbacks confused.
No, it's my senior brain, actually. I knew it was John Elway. But so Denver's colors are orange and blue. So I'm going to wear so for John Elway and Denver Broncos, I'm going to wear that dress for that event.
Okay.
And try to carry a blue bag, I think, and maybe accent with blue earrings.
Yeah, that does sound good.
So I think it'll be appropriate for that event. And then after that, I think I'm just going to hang it in the closet and hold on to it because I think it's going to be valuable to have an original Max out.
I 100% agree with you. Now, how you mentioned you were out in LA. What did you think of LA and what are some difference? Could you ever see yourself living there?
Can I tell you? So we've only been there one other time. And
I've only been to California one other time.
LA. I've been to Napa several times and San Francisco.
Oh, sorry. Napa.
But no, LA. I've only been there. And that was briefly because we have a niece that is in the acting business out there. So we took her out to lunch at the Grove in LA. Scott and I were staying at an RV resort in Malibu, which was this gorgeous resort that looked over the Pacific Highway and it was looked over the ocean. It was beautiful.
Can you imagine? It's probably all burnt.
I don't know. I don't know. It was up on the hill. Oh, maybe.
Everything is destroyed now.
But so we had the RV and we drove into LA. So that was the only time we've been there. So anyway, this time Haley wanted to take me around. We just had a ball, and the weather's perfect. People are so friendly.
That's what I say all the time. I mean, the weather is the best in the world, and that even in the middle of June, July, August, you go out at night, you need some type of little shawl on. There's no humidity. Your hair always looks great. It's just the weather is great. They do have what we always called, since we lived there 13 years, June gloom. It can be overcast a lot in the month of June.
That's how San Francisco is, really cold actually. But no, I really loved it. I had a great time. I wish I could have stayed longer.
Did you eat anywhere really fun or good any spots?
No, we didn't really do that. No, it was
no Polo Lounge or Ivy.
No, I wanted to go to the Polo Lounge.
Did you
make it over there?
Did you add like 5 sentences to your coffee order there?
No, I didn't have a car right away. I finally ended up doing Turo. Are you familiar with what Turo is?
No.
So you rent someone's personal car.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Airbnb for cars. So that's what I ended up doing. But I didn't realize how spread out LA is. It's not a walkable city.
No, it is not a walkable city at
You
all.
have to have a car to go anywhere.
Well, and the joke is, but it's not really a joke, is how often everyone drives. I mean, when I first saw, is it LA Story with Steve Martin, where literally he would go to his neighbors for dinner that lived a block away and he would get in the car and drive. And you think it's ridiculous until you actually go to LA and see it.
Yeah.
People drive to go 2 blocks. And then same thing with the coffee orders where they say, oh, the bigger the order, the bigger the douchebag. And to that point, I get just plain black coffee.
Exactly.
But
can I have a matcha latte with soy milk and put that on the side?
Decaf.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, add a little ice in there. 2 cubes, please. Yeah. I know that.
And no coffee in there.
and really no coffee.
Yeah. Like a Caesar salad.
But
no salad.
it's funny that you say that though, because we went to a restaurant the first night and it was like 0.8 of a mile. And Haley and I were like, oh, well, let's just walk. We started walking and then we're like, you got to cross the freeway to get there. And we're like, we can't walk there. We're going to kill ourselves. So then we ended up having to call an Uber from where we got stuck because you couldn't. It's ridiculous to me.
There is nothing, to the note of what I was just saying about the ordering, the coffee order. You literally, when you go out to dinner in California, there is nothing you can say or ask for to change your order that will make your server or your waiter blink twice, because they have heard it all. Yeah. That's why, like I said, you could literally order a Caesar salad and say, but no lettuce. And they would bring you a plate, not say anything, and then bring you a plate with chicken, Parmesan and breadcrumbs.
Yeah, no.
Because they have heard it all.
I did love it. Although I will say the Uber that I took from the airport to the hotel, I was asking him a bunch of questions because he's lived there for like 40 years. And I said, what's going on with the riots downtown or the protests? And he said, no, that's fine. That's all kind of, dissipated. So that wasn't happening anymore, which was great. He said, so that's fine. You can go there. And he goes, the only area you have to stay away from is Skid Row. He goes, the homeless problem here has gotten even worse. It's pretty bad. And I'm like, well, I will definitely avoid that. But yeah, so that's the only I guess that's the only downside I heard. When I first got there, I thought there was a bunch of smog. And I said, is that the smog I'm always hearing about? And he's like, well, that's just overcast, actually. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's good. But I think the news media makes a bigger deal out of things, because he said even when the protests were happening, it was kind of a small area.
Well, I was there when the
protests
were going on, and a lot of things that were said in the media were
blown out of proportion,
not true. And I just, I was just having this conversation with someone the other day saying, I would like to think that anybody right now in 2025, halfway through the year, would realize that it doesn't matter what side you fall on, who you voted for, where you stand politically, that everything is so skewed. You listen to one station, you hear one thing, you listen to another station, you hear something else. The media, I think, is the general public right now, and you and I are both the general public. It's hard to believe anybody.
I know. Well, it's a business.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's a business. So yeah, loved LA. I would definitely go back.
I would definitely go back. I mean, I guess if money were absolutely no object and we, just had tons of extra money and didn't mind being, bending over and being, completely screwed tax wise, we would move back there. But it's just insane how much money we save living in Florida.
It's expensive to live out there for sure. But I can understand why people like it. I can. Right. And, there's so much diversity. It's an international city. People from all over the world.
Yeah. And you can choose part of it. Like, it's kind of cool that you can, live there and just get in your car and drive, 2 hours or whatever, and you can be skiing. It's just, it's fun how you can do those different things. And San Francisco is so different than San Diego. You can choose sort of what works for you. I'm more a San Fran girl because I like city, cosmopolitan, the proximity to Napa, whereas a lot of other people you know, probably my twin sister would prefer San Diego because it's a little
Beautiful.
slower paced. It's pretty. It's,
Yeah, San
you know, a
Diego's
little
nice.
more crunchy.
Well, it's funny though. I said to Haley, I said, "Ah, do you think we can do a day trip to Vegas?" And she looked at it. She goes, "Mom, that's a 5-hour drive." I'm like,
It's
"Oh, darn
actually
it."
just too far. From LA, it's about a 4-hour drive. And my husband and I have done it before and said that if it were 3, it would be great. But that
Yeah,
extra, you know, even
it
maybe
wasn't a
three and
day
a
trip.
half, that extra half an hour, the 4-hour drive is just long.
There wasn't enough for me to do in LA. I had to
Yeah.
go to go to Vegas, but I'm
I
like,
love
"You're
Vegas.
that close to Vegas. Let's go." I know. It's probably a little. Do you think there's a plane that goes from?
Well, what they're in the process of doing now is flights used to be really cheap. We would hop on like last minute. We'd get a Southwest flight for like $50, $60 to Vegas. And now people either do this sort of private little airplane that leaves certain times and you know there are like 8 seats on it or whatever, and that's probably $550 round trip, or they're building a train that will be
Oh,
perfect,
that's smart.
that will so you'll be able to train from LA to Las Vegas. That'll be great.
It will. I think, it's funny how trains don't exist in the US the way they do
The
in Europe,
US has
right?
such
Europe
horrible
has such,
public
I know.
transportation in so many
I mean,
places.
you would think you could structure it like Europe does and get
I
all
know.
over the place
It
so
would be
quickly.
fantastic. I mean,
It would
I
be.
didn't own a car till I got married at 27 because I worked in Washington, D.C., then
You
Philadelphia.
just made me remember something. Speaking of cars, do you know what a Waymo is? I was
Don't
like,
tell me you got
what?
in one because I'm on the list to
I
be
did
able to.
not get in one, but all over town, Haley's like, that's a Waymo. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell's a Waymo?
You should sign up for it. So next time you're out there, you can get on the list to get in
I don't
one
know if
because
I'd want to.
for anyone that doesn't know, it's the driverless cars. But
Yeah.
it's really cool. You do have situations every now and again, like this guy who kept going like round and round in a circle in this parking lot and, you know, needed to get to the airport. So it's not infallible like anything else, but I would love to get
And
in
she
one
said
and
they're not
drive.
allowed on the freeway either.
No,
So
not yet.
you have to use them locally.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what the Waymo is? Do you know what the Coco is?
No idea. What's the
So, so we're walking down the street, and all of a sudden, this little robotic cooler comes and almost runs me over. I'm like, what is that? And Haley's like, oh, those are just the Cocos. They go all over the place. And I'm like, a Coco? And she's like, yeah, that's what people use for food delivery service. And so they have like these, it looks like a cooler on wheels, and they have like little eyes in the front of them. And she said they designed it like that on purpose. So if it flips over by accident, it kind of cries. It makes a little crying noise so that people will be empathetic and pick it back up and put it upright. Isn't that the craziest thing?
That
But it's
is
got these
crazy.
it really does. It has like little eyes.
I was in North Carolina when I saw one of those for the first time.
I was like, that is the coolest thing. So I did take a video. I'll have to put it up, but I was like dying laughing. Waymos and Cocos. Everything out there is robotic in California.
I mean, it's kind of funny if you think, Sharon, because I'm about to turn 54, you're 59. And remember when we watched that cartoon, The Jetsons?
Oh my God.
Like crazy and ridiculous.
Yep.
And now you look at some of these things and it doesn't seem so ridiculous. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm still baffled and amazed every time I'm at the airport and look out the window and see one of the airplanes, you know, take off into the air.
I know.
I'm just amazed that we were able to do that.
I know. I feel that way about boats too. Like how is that big boat floating in the water?
Yeah, I'd be standing here hitting 2 rocks together, trying to get a spark.
We wouldn't have survived very long.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, that's funny. So yeah, I had to bring up the Waymo and the Coco.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it. Well, my husband thinks, which I kind of agree with, when we talked about the Waymos, that when they do say that with driving accidents, it's primarily human error, you know, either DUIs, people looking at their phone, running, you know, a red light, what have you, that in the future he sees that it will be illegal for a person to drive a car. Like you'll have to have the car and set it to, you know, a manual driver.
I can see that.
Or not manual. You what's it called? Whatever you
Automatic.
Automatic. Yeah, you'll
Mhm.
have to set it to automatic.
All right, I have one more topic I want to talk about before we close out, and that is back to Max Alexander. What do you think it would be like to raise a gifted child that really knew at such a young age? I mean, we have smart kids, but I mean,
Well, you could ask my dad if you'd like to know.
good answer. But
Child was like,
we already know. All right. Well, so much for that. I'll ask your dad how he raised you, what his challenges were. I'm sure there were many.
I think he'd say there were many.
There were many.
I think there were
No,
very
but I
many.
kept thinking when I was meeting Max's mom, like, this has got to be overwhelming to some extent because she's managing his career as well as trying to manage his childhood, right?
I cannot imagine how difficult that would be, because you'd look, when any of us who are parents, and I certainly do not think you need to be a parent or have children to experience love or a better life. But if you do choose to have kids, you make mistakes along the way. You don't know what you're doing. And to me, the idea of having a kid where you would have to deal with all these extra things in terms of worrying about, are they in the media too much? Am I putting them out there too much? Is that dangerous? Is he going to become, insecure, or, it would just bring into play all these extra things to worry about.
Well, and I asked, his mom's name is Sherry, and I did ask her I invited her to come on the podcast, and she said she's really, really busy and it's hard for her to find the time. But, the other thing is she has two other children.
Yeah.
So she has a 13-year-old daughter, and then Max has a younger son as well. So yeah,
brother.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he has a younger brother. So yeah, two siblings. And they're always traveling, right, with Max and taking him to these different shows. It turns out he was actually at the show in New York where I was, the same one I was at with Fern Malice. And
I wonder if they bring the other kids, because that would be hard. How do you accommodate him? And then what if you have other kids that have something they're passionate about, playing an instrument or playing a sport? How do you
manage it all?
You would think, like, I know it would not work for my husband and I to be separate.
Well, the big question I have for her though is, okay, so at age 4, he says, I want a mannequin. And at what point do you really recognize the gift? At what point do you recognize that this is not just, like Haley wanted a Dora kitchen when she was 3 or 4. She didn't turn out to be a chef, but I got her the Dora kitchen. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you're getting her something.
Dora kitchen?
The Dora,
like Dora.
Dora the Explorer.
Boots.
Dora the Explorer and boots. That's right.
Right?
That's right. So yes, so she wanted that when she was young, and so that's what I got her, but she didn't turn out to be a chef. So at what point do you recognize that it's more than just a fun thing that he enjoys with, most kids would be like playing with fabric
She
and
probably
playing
hung
with me.
and didn't push it. But then when you start to see when they're actually, creating something that's wearable, beautiful. I mean, I guess you could look at it like, when your kid really has, skills for doing a certain sport, or
well, that I was that's
in
what
a certain
I started
subject.
thinking about, like a Serena and Venus, right? Williams and their dad really pushed them hard, and even Tiger Woods. I mean, you want to think about some of the best, and their parents really pushed them.
But there's a fine line, Sharon. I mean, if you really want to be the best, probably in any type of field, there's a fine line between, nurturing and then sort of pushing.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, I'd really be curious to know, like, how you protect the child's childhood and still let them be a kid while also encouraging their gift.
I am someone that does not believe that you can absolutely have it all. I think to some extent you have to make choices. It's the beauty of life, but that you have to make choices. I mean, if you're going to be a gymnast in the Olympics, or for that matter, go to the Olympics for anything, you're going to be giving up something in your life, whether it's going to parties, you're not going to a school, you're homeschooling, you don't really have the friend circle. I think that you have to give something up, but let me be clear, it's a very selective choice you're making to do one thing as opposed to the other.
Well, and that's, I guess my point is you don't know if it's just a phase and this is going to be their lifetime journey at such a young age, or if it's something that they're going to enjoy for 5 years and then want to shift. And if you put all your emphasis on tennis or soccer or fashion or whatever it is, are you missing out on all of these other things that
Well,
might
yes, I
also.
think you do need to do make some effort to be well rounded. I mean, I love how Wayne Gretzky said that, he thinks you're just a better, ice hockey player overall, or whatever your sport is, if you're doing multiple sports. He said, when he played ice hockey, at the end of ice hockey season, he hung up his skates and then moved on to the next sport. And
Yeah.
he is, several times when being interviewed made comments that he thinks it's a mistake when a kid's 24/7, 12 months a year playing one sport, that you get burnt out. It's probably not good for your body physically,
Right.
because you're making the same movements. But I think that, it's difficult. But then you could, to be devil's advocate, you look at the elite, say, I'll use for an example lacrosse, because that's what, my husband and I played, and my twin and sister and my twin's husband. And, if you're not going to the camps during the summer to do lacrosse, and you're not practicing hitting the ball against the wall to work both your left hand and your right hand, you're not going to be as good as the kids that are. So
right.
it's so hard. At what age do you have to determine, okay, this is the
Yeah.
sport I want to excel in,
Right.
so I'm going to spend more time doing it? I mean, Jesus, I'm just glad that I'm an empty nester and don't have to deal with any of that.
Well, and I'm not saying she is completely pushing him to fashion at all. I mean, he obviously has a gift and a passion for it. So I'm more applauding her, the way that she's able to balance it all, actually. And I know that she's got him in summer camps and doing a lot of other things. And I was talking to another friend out there who happens to have a son who is a child actor who started acting in commercials when he was 13 months old. And, and he's still continuing. He's at Harvard with Haley, and he's still continuing in that field. Obviously, it's something in them that they were born with and just know, right? But I just think it's fascinating how.
I'm just fascinated when people know, like when you
Yeah, when you
meet
just know.
when I meet the woman who's a doctor who knew she always wanted to be a doctor, or I meet, the guy that's a lawyer because he knew he always wanted to be a lawyer, or someone who, works in the makeup, and hair industry, or whatever it is. I'm always amazed when someone knew from a very early
Yeah.
age, this is what I want to
Jesus,
do.
I'm 59 and still don't know what I want to do. I didn't.
Just about to say the same
I
thing,
did
Sharon.
not get that gene. What the heck? I mean,
But I think there are a lot of us that think if we could go back, like I would 100%, if I could go back, go to New York City and pursue
Fashion.
a career in fashion.
Yeah.
There is zero doubt in my mind that's what I would have done. I don't know why I didn't do it. I think that that's why it's important to, have people, not parents, but people at your schools or, universities that talk to you about, these things, just so it's present in your mind and you're thinking about it.
But that brings up another point, like opportunity, right? Like in the small town I grew up in, I wouldn't have even known how big I could dream. Like I didn't even know certain fields existed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought like, to go to New York, or actually that's not true. I wanted to go to New York too, but to major in journalism. But that being said, like I just didn't know how big I could dream being from a small town.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the end of my topics for my update from my trip.
Well, I love
All I
it.
had.
It's like I said, it's still such a whirlwind thinking about it when you Google Max Alexander and you see he has, 4 million followers on one app and over 7 million on another. And so certainly,
He's a
people
rising
like him and
star.
they like to follow him.
He's a rising star. He's just adorable. It's just such a polite little kid, and mom has pink hair and she's just a sweetheart. And the grandfather, Had a little crush on him too.
Aw.
Had a little crush on him. He's a retired Army. He served in the Army his whole life. So, of course, I had to thank him for his service. And my brother is a retired Navy. So we have, yeah.
Well, we took care of your
military.
husband while you were away.
Uh-oh.
He came out with us for drinks and dinner in a big old group. So
Good. I'm
yeah,
glad you took care of
he
him.
wasn't left alone sulking in the corner.
No, he always finds a group to hang out with. So I'm glad he
Yeah.
finds something to keep himself busy. So that's good. I'm glad you all had fun. Missed you. Well, no,
We
I
did.
didn't actually.
Sharon,
I actually didn't. I had a good time.
right? I know you did. You had a great time.
Kidding. All right. Any advice today?
Yeah. Well, in light of what we'd, just talked about now, I would say dare to dream, and go for it. And if, and you know what, when you're so young, you have the option to, if, what you think you wanted to do isn't a perfect fit, do something else. I mean, you're, to that note, you're never too old to reinvent yourself. I mean, you look at, you and I take seriously being, aging, staying fit, and you have so many people who are, out of shape and smoked or led an unhealthy lifestyle. And then you see them, 10 years later and they've completely transformed their life. And that could be said about, anything.
Yeah. Well said. I agree. Yeah. Dare to dream big. I mean, dare to, yeah.
Yeah. Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself. No, I love that. All right, everyone. And with that,
Peace out, Girl Scout. That was a good one.